Hello, friends. The story of any major company can almost always be described by a fluctuating graph, where every brand undoubtedly experiences highs and lows. Sometimes it teeters on the brink of oblivion, while at other times, it stays on the pages of business magazines for years. However, the brand I'm going to talk about today is the exception. Strangely enough, it hasn't even celebrated its 11th birthday yet. Despite this brand managed to revolutionize the technology market. And all of this, friends, in just 4 years. And, as you've probably guessed from the title, today we're talking about Xiaomi. Xiaomi has indeed claimed the leading position in the production of electronic devices. It's worth noting that the company consistently expands its range, allowing it to break all records in terms of sales volumes, with an annual revenue reaching an unbelievable $26 billion, surpassing its direct competitors long ago. The company's founding date is officially recognized as April 6, 2010. However, the idea of creating his own brand came to the young entrepreneur long before that. Lei Jun, that's the man's name, has been among the top 10 richest people in China since 2015. But, as a spoiler, I'll say that he, like many, started from the bottom. And today, we see the result of his work on the endlessly long shelves of stores. Lei Jun is now spoken of as one of those people who achieve success by any means. Lei Jun was born in 1969 in the small town of Xiantao in Hubei province. The future entrepreneur's childhood was quite ordinary, marked by no outstanding achievements. There's little information about his family, only that his father was a civil servant. In school, Jun was an unremarkable boy who studied, let's say, averagely. He even chose to study computer science at Wuhan University just because he wanted to continue studying with his friend. That's all we know about this period of Lei Jun's life. It's worth noting that at that time, computer technologies in China were studied weekly, and Wuhan University was one of the country's first universities working in this direction. Despite this unique opportunity, Lei, apparently, was not inspired by the prospects opening up for him. He just didn't want to be worse than other students, so he even gave up his usual routine, including the after-lunch nap, and, as they say, engaged in studying. Later, during his studies, he became interested in programming, significantly increasing his interest in learning. Thus, Lei Jun never had problems with his grades, but there were other problems. You might laugh, but there were few computers at the university at that time. To gain access to them, one had to wait a long time. Despite these difficulties, Lei quickly adapted to the conditions and spent most of his time in the computer lab. He learned to take the places of those who didn't attend classes and was ready to help explain and even do assignments for someone else. Of course, such activity was not liked by the teachers, and the student was often expelled from classes. Strange, isn't it? But the guy didn't give up and came up with new ways to sit in front of the computer. But that was just the beginning. In his first year, the future entrepreneur came across the book Fire in the Valley. This book made him think about creating his own business. Soon, Lei created the Yellow Rose Society for computer enthusiasts like himself, where all participants were involved in programming and even managed to sell their development profitably, encryption software called BitLog 099. However, at the same time, the business successes of the entrepreneur during his education are often overestimated. For example, there was a popular version at one point that Lei Jun became a millionaire while still in university. However, the entrepreneur himself put an end to this legend, noting that at that time, $1,000 was a huge sum for him. And, of course, he didn't have that much money then. So, essentially, the guy's student years passed in search of a free computer. In 1991, Lei graduated from university with a bachelor's degree in computer science. Well, what's next? Next, as is often the case, came the job search. Considering that Beijing was developing rapidly at that time, he headed there and soon found a place in a research laboratory. It's worth mentioning that at that time, he earned above average. However, as he recalled, he didn't derive much pleasure from the work. The guy wanted to develop, and new, unexplored horizons lured him. That's why the favorite place of the future entrepreneur in Beijing became the Zhongguancun district, commonly referred to as the Silicon Valley of China. So, literally a year later, due to his strong involvement in the technological life of the capital, he quit a quite prestigious job in research and decided to radically change his life. He tried to find ways into major technology companies, but no one hired him because he lacked experience and connections. However, at the same time, he didn't give up. His desire and persistence soon bore fruit. In November 1991, during an exhibition in Beijing, Lei Jun met Zhu Jun, the founder and vice president of Kingsoft. The guy came as a regular visitor and started asking so provocatively relevant questions near the manufacturer's stand that the latter even invited him to a business dinner. Nothing is known about the subject of their conversation, but Lei apparently made a positive impression on the businessman and soon received an offer to join the Kingsoft team. Today, Kingsoft is the largest developer of office programs and applications such as WPS Office. In the distant 1991, the company had only 5 employees. But even this didn't stop Lei Jun from leaving a stable job in the laboratory for a startup. In 1992, he became the 6th employee of the company. There is little information about Lei's first years at Kingsoft. It is known that he was involved in development and apparently coped quite successfully with his tasks. During his tenure, the company grew significantly, and he himself went from being the 6th employee to the head of the company in just 6 years. But, as it often happens, not everything was so rosy. Massive software piracy became a significant problem for Kingsoft, depriving it of a significant portion of its revenue. Additionally, many competitors emerged in the Chinese market. However, despite this, Lei Jun successfully managed the leadership and gradually reoriented the company to work on the internet. Besides his main activity, he also devoted time to other projects. In his free time, he developed and successfully launched the Joyo.com platform for trading books, videos, and music. The service was created in 2000 and was more of a personal wish of the man. But in 2004, he sold it to Amazon for an incredible $75 million. As specialists later remarked, it was evident that even at that time, Lei had a good understanding of the potential of the internet. However, the astronomical sum of $75 million that fell into his lap didn't prompt the young man to go wild. On the contrary, it made him think about the future. Money is just money. You can quickly spend it or invest it wisely. That's what the man thought, and after the successful sale of Joyo.com, he began to independently invest in interesting projects. In Kingsoft, he worked until 2007, the year when he successfully led the company through its IPO. By the way, it raised $99 million, which certainly satisfied all its shareholders. By that time, the successful manager himself owned shares in the company, so he also made a decent profit. After his departure, he retained a seat on the board of directors and in 2011 assumed the position of chairman. It is mentioned that Kingsoft's financial performance during the period when Lei Jun was not leading the company significantly declined. The entrepreneur cited the end of the software era and the beginning of the internet era as the reason for leaving Kingsoft. Interestingly, he retained his position on the board of directors even after leaving and focused on investments. As of 2011, he had invested in 20 different companies, and his investment activities continued, although overshadowed by Xiaomi's achievements. Among Lei Jun's successful investments were Local Payment, providing financial services, Vankel, an online clothing trading platform, and UC Web, the developer of the UC browser. The latter usually attracts the most attention from entrepreneur biography researchers. Lei Jun joined UC Web as chairman, and the company became a dominant player in the Chinese mobile browser market. In 2014, Alibaba Group acquired UC Web, paying a record $3.8 billion. This marked the point where money was no longer a problem for our protagonist. Now, Lei Jun had a plan brewing in his mind to create something new, technological, and global. He decided to focus on mobile technologies. The company he created was named Xiaomi, which translates from Chinese as grain or, in another version, rice grain. Interestingly, Lei initially wanted to name the company Red Star, but that name was already taken. There were a total of 8 founders in the company. Apart from Lei Jun himself, his close friend Lin Bin, who had previously worked at Microsoft and Google, is commonly mentioned. Despite having a good team and Lei Jun's impressive experience, the entrepreneur was undoubtedly taking risks. The mobile technology market was successfully divided among industry giants, and achieving success in it required facing intense competition. The money invested in the new company may seem huge to us ordinary people, but not for launching a major business and a new brand. What is also remarkable in this whole story is that Lei Jun became a good example of the fact that startups are not the exclusive domain of the young. At the time of creating the company, the entrepreneur was already 40 years old. Moreover, he had a substantial bank account and led a quite comfortable life. What else did he need? Right, he simply could not stop because he was interested not in money but in the process. And from this point on, the story will be about Xiaomi. For those unaware, the company's first product was not a phone or a gadget. It was the MIUI firmware for smartphones and tablets running on Android. It is considered to combine the best qualities of iOS and Android. As it turned out, the combination of the strengths of the two operating systems was a successful solution. MIUI quickly gained a fan base, extending beyond China. Lei Jun realized that the first attempt was successful. Gradually, MIUI gained recognition as one of the best firmwares in the world and continues to be actively used not only by Xiaomi but also by other manufacturers. The company's approach to its regular updates, occurring almost every week, is also appealing. It is also worth mentioning that Lei Jun was a big fan of the iPhone and decided to create his own version with some differences. Primarily, the focus was on significantly reducing the cost while retaining all functional capabilities. Additionally, the entrepreneur aimed to challenge the well-known stereotype that products from China are of low quality. This led to the birth of the first Xiaomi phone, the Xiaomi Mi 1, in 2011. The phone featured a dual-core processor with a clock speed of 1.5 GHz, an 8-megapixel camera, and other technical features that made the Mi 1 a contemporary development at that time. At the time of its release, the phone cost around $317, achieved by the company abandoning several standard approaches, including saving on advertising, packaging, design, and refraining from offline sales. Even today, Lei Jun believes that a truly good product does not need flashy advertising campaigns. Social media, where Jun had an impressive list of followers, became the main tool for promoting Mi 1. The entrepreneur has retained this practice, actively engaging with users on platforms like Weibo and other social networks, as well as in the Mi Talk channel, where he receives feedback from a massive audience and helps implement new features into the products. Many are even surprised at how a person with billions in their accounts, ranking 6th on the Forbes China list, manages to communicate with their followers. But I suppose, for him, it's simply interesting. Initially, the entrepreneur sold products through the website, though gradually he found distributors and launched his own retail stores. In just 12 minutes and 41 seconds, 150,000 Xiaomi Mi 1 phones were sold. The sales model gradually improved. The company started informing in advance about the technical specifications of new models and setting an official sales date through its website. Even now, products appear in stores later and, by the way, cost more. Another interesting aspect is that the focus on online sales significantly streamlines the company's operations and allows it to save. Xiaomi can sell devices directly from the factory and does not need warehouses. Additionally, the company manufactures each smartphone for at least 18 months. By the end of this period, its components become much cheaper, reflecting in the device's cost. Xiaomi even sells some smartphones at cost, a practice that may seem unprofitable at first glance. However, at the same time, Xiaomi sells its own mobile services and entertainment, contributing significantly to its profit. Among the company's interesting services is the Mi Talk Messenger, representing a mix of iMessage and BlackBerry Messenger. In 2016, the Mi Pay payment system was introduced. Moreover, Lei Jun gradually acquires stakes in various popular services in the country, such as Youku, the largest video portal in China. The most interesting part is that later Lei abandoned independent phone production, entering agreements with companies like Foxconn and Inventalk. In 2012, several versions of the Xiaomi Mi 1 were released with a wide variety of body colors, including orange, red, purple, and others. In the same year, more than 1 million Mi 1 units were sold, and the company set this record in just 1 year. While flooding the market with its phone, Lei acted very unconventionally. Perhaps no one had done something like this before him. When defects were found in the Mi 1, Lei did not apologize and promise to fix everything. Instead, he immediately took active steps. Workshops appeared in Beijing promptly, where the company's customers were assisted completely free of charge. This initiative was a good example of customer-oriented action combined with promotion. Thanks to Lei Jun's actions, the company was back in the spotlight. Information about defective phones faded into the background. The year 2012 marked the release of the Xiaomi Mi 2 for the company. It went on sale in August and immediately caught the public's attention. Indeed, the smartphone was positioned as the world's first phone with a quad-core processor, all for just $300. The Mi 2 truly became one of the most affordable phones, boasting excellent specifications. The smartphone featured a quad-core processor clocked at 1.5 GHz and an Adreno 320 graphics core. The screen supported a resolution of 1280 by 720 pixels, with a whopping 2 GB of RAM. The first 50,000 Xiaomi Mi 2 units were sold through the website in less than 3 minutes. Just think about those numbers. An equal amount was sold through Lei's personal blog in just 5 minutes. Additionally, buyers reserved another 1.3 million smartphones. Within 11 months, the company sold more than 11 million devices. The Mi 2's version even surpassed the sales of all Apple models in China for a certain period. In 2012, the company raised $216 million, and its valuation was already estimated at $4 billion. The year 2013 introduced several new products for the company, such as the Xiaomi Mi 3 and the budget phone series Xiaomi Redmi 1. The range was also expanded with the release of the Xiaomi Mi TV television and the announcement of plans to create their own tablets. In that year, 19 million smartphones were sold, and the company became the 5th largest mobile brand in China. While it was far from the leadership Lei Jun dreamed of, the company had firmly established itself in the market and showed serious prospects considering the growing sales and financial indicators. In 2013, the company announced the opening of its first store in Beijing, named Miho. The store resembled an Apple store in appearance. Miho had special rooms showcasing home products, a list that significantly expanded until 2017. Another feature of the store was its function as an exhibition hall. It displayed a range of products that couldn't be bought but could be viewed. New Xiaomi phones were presented here as samples, and they could only be purchased through the website. By 2016, the company owned 54 stores. In 2014, the world saw several new products, including the company's first tablet. However, the most memorable event was the dispute between Xiaomi President Lin Pin and Apple's head of design, Johnny Ive. It started when I've accused Xiaomi of stealing ideas in an interview and called the Chinese company's smartphones simply terrible. Lin Pin's response was quite delicate. The company's president stated that Ive was mistaken and Xiaomi was creating its unique products. He also speculated that Ive had never used Xiaomi gadgets and offered him a chance to test one of the smartphones for free. Meanwhile, the company continued to grow and expand its product range every day. Since 2014, in addition to smartphones and tablets, the company introduced a variety of other products. The Xiaomi Mi TV 2 with a 49-inch screen was released. The Mi Box Pro TV box supporting 4K video format was also introduced. The first fitness tracker, Mi Paint 1, was born, distinguished by its incredibly low price of only $13. In the first 100 days alone, more than 1 million fitness trackers were sold. Perhaps it's worth simply saying that the company now operates in a vast number of directions, ranging from smartphone accessories to Wi-Fi routers and televisions. It makes little sense to describe the entire product line; everyone already knows it. If we return to Lei's activities, in addition to actively expanding the product line, he started acquiring stakes in Chinese services. For $300 million, he obtained a share in the video service iQIYI owned by Baidu. Additionally, a stake was acquired in the Chinese equivalent of YouTube, Youku. Now the company began building its own assets in content production. Speaking of Lei Jun, he is often referred to as the Chinese Steve Jobs. Indeed, there are some similarities between them: clothing style, product presentation format, the ability to borrow good ideas from competitors, and, ultimately, building large companies. However, the differences between entrepreneurs are even more significant. Lei Jun does not share the same flamboyant character as Jobs. He is not arrogant and is willing to compromise for his customers. Lei speaks highly of Jobs, but asserts that the American entrepreneur probably couldn't have achieved success in China. According to Lei Jun, for American companies to succeed in China, they need to learn to compromise, as much in the country depends on the government, making this skill crucial. What truly unites Lei Jun and Jobs, however, is their work ethic. Xiaomi's founder worked 100 hours a week during the company's launch and has not significantly eased his schedule since. Even now, he avoids discussions about his personal life and prefers to dedicate more time to business. Occasionally, information about his hobbies surfaces, one of which is rock climbing. Remarkably, within such a short period, Lei Jun managed to build a world-class company in one of the most competitive markets. Many users still do not know how to pronounce Xiaomi correctly. Various pronunciations like Xiaomi, 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 and even Xiaomi are often heard. In reality, it's much simpler. The word consists of two parts, Xiao and Mi. When pronounced together, it reads as Xiaomi, with the emphasis on the second syllable. Lei Jun claims that when launching Xiaomi, his main goal was not money; he already had plenty by that time. His primary desire was to prove to users worldwide that products from China had long ceased to be mere low-quality goods. Today, they are high-quality items that cost significantly less. So, the question arises, why pay more? While many may not perceive this brand's products favorably, opting for Apple or Samsung, the younger generation increasingly prefers Xiaomi. Who knows? At this rate, American and Korean giants might soon find themselves in the same position as the once famous Nokia or even Lenovo. Friends, how do you personally feel about this brand? What can you say about it? It would be interesting to hear your opinions in the comments. Well, for today, that's all. Please rate the video if you enjoyed it, and see you soon. Goodbye.